Most people haven't been taught the number one thing to reduce slicing, get rid of those blocks, and overall to square up the club face at impact. Now there's two different hand paths here that can cause a lot of problems, or one can be great, other one can cause problems. So focus on just my hands here. And if I do this type of hand motion in my golf swing, so I do this, then I'm really gonna struggle getting that face to square up. I'm gonna tend to hit blocks, balls that curve from left to right, that slice, that cut. It's just gonna be inconsistent. This is the second motion here. And if I do that, I'm easily gonna be able to square up the club face. Now, here's the kicker. You've been told to swing more out to the right and to change your path. And I'm not talking about hand path here. Actually, if you do the first one, the one that struggles with those blocks and slices, then no matter how far you try to swing out to the right, you're still gonna struggle to square up the face. You've also been told, which is good information, to try to square up the face by closing it down here. But if you do that first hand motion, you're gonna struggle to square up the face no matter how much you try to do that. Or you've probably, I guarantee you've been told this one, you feel like you're banging your head against the wall trying to do this, but to release the club, let the face roll on over. Well, if you're doing that first motion, it's next to impossible to square the face up and let it roll on over. So it's so frustrating. Let me give you the secret of why that's so tough for you and for a lot of players out there, and then get into a very simple solution that allows you to square that face very easy. Well, when we look at PGA Tour players or professional golfers, all great golfers, what's happening in the downswing, if I'm looking at just what the hands are doing, as they start the downswing, the hands are going to accelerate. So say the hands go up to here at the top of the backswing, and as my hands get somewhere in the vicinity of here, so kind of chest high to waist high, they're going to be going as fast as they're going to go in the downswing. For a tour player, that's usually mid 20 miles an hour to high 20 miles an hour. So let's say 25 to 29 miles an hour in this section. So they stop, they're at zero, they accelerate to high 20s, and then as they go to impact, something kind of interesting happens that's counterintuitive. They actually slow down. So at impact, or when these same players hit the ball, so we're mid to high 20s here, we're going to be slowing down to about 20 miles an hour roughly at impact. So the hands are accelerating and then decelerating as they come into the ball. And it's counterintuitive because you think, well, if I want to hit it farther, I want to hit it, swing faster, shouldn't I be accelerating my hands all the way through impact? That may be the feeling, but this is a universal truth. There is nobody that has ever hit a golf ball that's squared up the face whose hands are moving faster through impact. Every single player, especially the good players, are going to be slowing those hands down. It does two things for you. Number one, it allows you to release the club. So if you imagine if I'm swinging this club around, like if I had a blade on a fan, a ceiling fan, and I just attached a golf club to that ceiling fan blade, well, if I kept on accelerating, this club would lag behind and never really release. So I'd just be kind of dragging it through like this, and there'd be this big angle there. So part of the slowing down is what allows the club to go ahead and release. And if you imagine you had that ceiling fan, it's spinning around, this angle would be constant. What happens if you reached up there and grabbed the fan blade and stopped it? Well, the club or whatever's attached to that fan blade would fly past. So it's a speed thing. You really can't get speed into the club head unless you slow the hands down and let the club release. Number two, it is squaring up the face. And that's really what it comes into. The first example I gave, I tried to accelerate my hands through impact faster and faster. And when that happens, this face is going to stay open. So if you imagine if I'm just pulling this club through, this keeps on accelerating toward the target, the face stays wide open, there's really no way to square it up. And if you do close it down or swing more to the right or do any of those other things, you're going to end up just blocking it to the right. It still slices and it's frustrating as all get out. Or maybe you really manipulate the club face close and you end up with a snap hook. But there's really no way to control the club face if we're over accelerating the hands. So when we're swinging that way, what's happening here when we slow down is now this club face, imagine I grab that fan blade again, I stop it, this club face goes ahead and squares up or it closes down and then turns on over. And that's really what the golf swing is. So again, every single great player is accelerating their hands and then decelerating it to let the club go ahead and release. It gives you more club head speed. Remember, the hands are only moving about 20 miles an hour through impact, while the club, for a PGA Tour player with a driver, at least the faster drivers on tour, is going 120 miles an hour. So the club head is moving 100 miles an hour faster than the hands. The hands are slowing down, the club head is speeding up. So that probably sounds like a bit of a mouthful. It's a lot to think about. Doesn't have to be that hard. Let me teach you the right way to get that feeling. And it doesn't have to be scientific or complicated at all, really. What I recommend doing, you don't have to do this step, but I think it's one of the best, is get an impact bag. And what I want you to do with this is we're going to make some little half swings, and we're going to work on getting some lag in the downswing. So basically, we're going to make a backswing here. Weight shifts to the right, hands and arms nice and wide, club head's going out. As we start to shift back to the left, as we transition our weight to the left, we're going to let these wrists kind of cock, or the club head lag behind there, so that we're getting this angle in our wrist. Then I feel like I'm going to throw my hands at the bag, and I'm going to let them stop. Let's start out without a club to make this feel a little bit easier. We're going to go here, we're going to do this, and I'm going to throw the hands and stop them. Notice how my body's still clearing out of the way. I'm not just going like this and throwing my hands across my body and stopping them. I'm letting my lower body clear out of the way. I'm letting my torso open up. And I'm just throwing the hands and letting them stop there. So it's really, how fast can I throw my hands and arms and not get them to fly on past this bag? So just like that. Do it about 10 or 15 times. If you have a rope, you can actually kind of pop this bag with the rope if you're doing this correctly. Or if you want to turn your golf club upside down, how hard can I pop this bag without dragging my hands past the bag? That would look something like this. So I'm going to do that same little drill, right? Loud. I'm really popping it pretty good there. And you'll notice my hands never go in front of the bag. Right? That's a lot of speed, a lot of power, but I'm not dragging the hands through. It's getting that whip to crack the bag. That's step number one. Throw the hands first. Turn the club upside down, pop the bag a few times without dragging the hands through. Then you're ready to start with the club. I'm going to do the same thing here, where now I go ahead, I get that lag, I release it, I pop the bag, and what I'm trying to do here is get my hands to stop at the bag and hit the bag hard enough to where it flies out in front of me. So again, if you have a rolled up towel would be fine. If you have a pillow, that'd be fine. If you want to grab this impact cube from Eyeline Golf, this is one of my favorite training aids. I'll put a link down below this video somewhere if you want to get one of these. But I'm going to try to pop this bag forward without dragging the hands forward. That's the secret. Club head speed, squaring up the face, all that good stuff. So once we've done a few of those, now we really get the energy into the club head. Now let's go ahead and work on releasing the club face. So that was a little bit more speed to get the club moving. Let's slow it down here a little bit and get the club face releasing so we can feel it. So the step number two is going to be this. I'm going to have my hands come down to impact. I'm going to slow them down, and I'm going to have my arms fold over each other, making an X. So you imagine the downswing, the club's like this. As I release them, I want my hands to make an X like this, where my right hand goes over my left hand. So it's going to look just like this. So I'm going to stop my swing, have lag, I release the club, and I let it fold. So I'm not doing this and letting it fold way up here. I'm stopping my hands just after impact and letting the forearms roll over each other. Now you notice when that happens, that club face squares up. That club face releases. Right? So if I do this a few times, now I'm getting the feeling of having the club turn on over without manipulating with the hands. So all these drills are to still get speed, but to decelerate the hands and let the club head get the speed rather than the hands accelerating. So those are the steps to get the feeling for it. The next step here, we're going to hit some balls in this screen with my flight scope radar, and we're going to see if that face turns on over, get some nice draws. So here, I'm going to do that same little drill. I'm just going to hit a shot. All right, so there, I'll let the face turn on over, and you can see that ball turned over from right to left. So these are just little mini shots. Don't have to be very far at all, right? But I'm just really trying to hook it. If I can snap hook it left, if I'm on the driving range and I'm hitting them off the left side of the driving range, that's fantastic. Then gradually from there, you just add a little more acceleration to the hands, a little less of that rolling over, and you're going to be able to get the face pretty daggone square. So all I'm going to do now is, instead of exaggerating this rolling over, I'm going to go ahead and let the hands naturally just accelerate, feel like they accelerate to a full finish. And that face will go ahead and square itself up. There we go, nice straight shot. That ball drew just a handful of yards. Now from there, the ball would be turning over from right to left. If it's still starting left and going further left, that may be a common pattern, because if we've been accelerating the hands and having the face open, we may be wanting to come over the top to try to get it to start left and then fade back. Well, now that you've got the face squaring back up, all you have to do is swing more out to the right. Now swinging out to the right will work. Now having this face close down and release it there will work. All these other things that you've been trying to do will work now that the hands aren't over accelerating. So what I recommend for that, I like a drill to where, again, if I want to use the same impact bag, I'm going to put it in line with the golf ball, about 1 foot behind it. So let's do 1 foot length. And I'm going to put this bag to where the side of the bag is in line with the target. So basically all this is just forcing me to swing from the inside to hit this golf ball and get it to turn on over. And it may read or may not read. Looks like it read fine on the flight scope there. You can see now it's starting to the right a little bit. If I look at my club path, it was 6.6 to the right, so I even overdid it a little bit. I can scoot this out a little more that way to go from less inside and more square. And now I'm going to get that ball, it starts to the right and then draws back to the left. So work on those hand speed drills, work on the deceleration, and that way you can finally feel the momentum of the club head and not have to manipulate it to try to get a nice draw. Now I think the next thing to build onto this would be some fantastic lag, because the more I can get this club to lag when I do release it, that's going to get a lot of club head speed. It's going to feel effortless. I have a great lag video that I'm going to play here just at the end. So it's going to pop up on the screen, one of the cards. Just go ahead and watch that lag video. It's the perfect thing to do next, and I'll see you very soon. Let's go ahead and get started.